Coming up this week on Sporting Journal Radio.
Where I think most North Dakota anglers like tournaments, don't have an issue with them. And we believe a big part of that is that conservation fee.
Some Vikings legends coming, Bud Grant.
He was full of snow. He looked like a darn snowman. But he was out there just jigging away, and talk about hardcore. Holy smokes.
I fish, I hunt, and always will. Broadcasting from the Prairie Sportsman Studios. Presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. We're not just a radio show anymore.
Heck yeah.
This is Sporting Journal Radio.
That's right. I'm Bret Amundson. We got a great show for you this week. Dan Amundson's over there along with David Eckhardt. How you doing, fellas?
Hey.
Good.
Got a lot to get to and a mystery guest. Well, I can tell you what, in
See you
that
later.
black square right there that you saw if you're watching this on YouTube, it's going to be filled with the likes of Greg Tower. He's the Fisheries Division Chief for the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. There's been some talk in North Dakota, some positive, some negative, about potential new fishing permit regulations. We're going to find out what that's all about, and we're going to talk to him about the state of the fisheries in North Dakota. How is fishing in North Dakota, whether it's the big lakes or the small lakes? We'll ask Greg coming up later in the show. Eric Meyer is going to join us from the Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic to talk about what's new there this year, and Joe Henry will have a Lake of the Woods fishing report for us coming up. But first, Dan, who are the sponsors this week?
This week, we can thank OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. Lake of the Woods Tourism. Lake of the Woods is the walleye capital. Start planning a trip for this spring at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. Live Target, match the hatch at livetargetlures.com. Haybell Heights Campground and Resort. Start thinking summer trips. Book a trip to Devil's Lake. Learn more at haybellheights.com. Eau Claire Audio. Save your hearing in the field, especially snow goose hunting or turkey hunting this spring. Learn more at eauclaireoutdoors.com. The Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic is this weekend, March 10th through the 12th. Learn more. It's at Canterbury Park. Learn more at mndeerclassic.com. Riverbend Resort. Start thinking spring fishing at riverbendresort.com. Ottertail Lake Country. Find your inner otter at ottertaillakescountry.com. And Prairie Sportsman, the new season is underway. Watch episodes on the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel. Otherwise, we have new episodes coming up next week, I think.
Yeah, we're getting back into it right now. In fact, I think we got our waterfowl show, the layout boat hunt up at Lake of the Woods coming up.
Couple weeks.
Very soon. Also a turkey hunt with David and the turkey hunt / morel finding expedition.
Yeah, you'll just have to watch to find out
Why do we have
how that morning progressed.
Why do we have to bank on morels, David?
That's funny. So check it out, Prairie Sportsman. Check out the new Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel as well. You can watch all their episodes there, or look for your local listings for an airing on a PBS station near you.
Does anybody look at TV guides anymore? Like, remember you'd get those in the mail? I'm old enough to remember getting those in the mail.
Like the actual magazine or newspaper version.
Yeah. Does anybody do that anymore, or do you just go online, or do you just turn the TV on?
I think there may be still paper version somewhere out there. I have no idea. I haven't seen one in years.
They've got to be around still.
It's like, check your listings. I don't even know where to go to find a listing. Xfinity? I'm an Xfinity guy.
Yeah, I think if you had a satellite company or a cable company, they still have an on-screen guide. You can check it. But for those households like ours that don't have, we have Netflix and Amazon and YouTube and all that stuff. There isn't really a guide or a listing. When I go to a hotel, I'm always looking at the guide.
Google.
Yeah, I say Google it. That's right. Just Google Prairie Sportsman. You'll find it.
That's right. Man, YouTube, love it or hate it, you can find just about everything on there. And we've got a brand new YouTube channel now, too, called The Fish Hunt Forever. I fish, I hunt, and always will. Fish Hunt Forever. Check out the new channel. We've got a brand new video on there from our trip to the Niagara River, which was a blast, unreal. And Dan, there's a new video coming to that channel. Why don't you tell us all about it? I got to go grab something, by the way.
All right.
Why don't you go tell us about it?
Well, see you later. So it's just David and I running the show now. Well, we went ice fishing at Lake of the Woods back in January with the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Writers again. And so that video will be coming next week at some point, undetermined day. You'll just have to subscribe and to the channel to find out when that'll come out. We'll put it out on our socials too, which you can find Sporting Journal Radio on Instagram and Facebook at sporting.journal.radio on Instagram, and just look up Sporting Journal Radio on Facebook and YouTube. Just Google us. You'll find everything you need to know. What did you just grab?
So We had a conversation, we have some serious preparation meetings for this show. Like, we're a professional show. Like, we sit around, we plan for
David
hours.
rolls in about 2 minutes before we start. And
We plan for hours and hours what we're going to do on this show. And we had an idea that we forgot about. I think we were going to do it last week, and we forgot about it. So this
I
week,
have
we
no
got to
idea
do
where
it.
you're going with this.
No. No.
David wanted a mustache.
I couldn't see what that was at first.
That was
I
for a trip.
Starting to question some things. What's going on right now?
No,
He's walking over.
Get out of here.
Try harder.
Nope.
David wanted a new mustache.
That was a lot of buildup for a bad joke.
I'm not. Who says it's a joke? We're going to do
What,
it.
does he have a mustache yet?
No, the battery
Not
died.
yet. Yeah. You would have got started and it would have died.
That'd have been great.
That was all part of my plan.
Just a landing strip.
I just wanted half a mustache.
Yeah. just half a beard.
Half a beard.
One landing strip down the middle.
Well, we'll take a break and maybe we'll come back and we'll see how David's mustache is progressing at that point. And we
That
want to
got
talk
weird.
Some really cool discussion with Greg Power from North Dakota Game and Fish, talking about the state of fishing in North Dakota when we come back.
Don't miss the 2023 Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic, presented by Select Heartland Chevy Dealers at Canterbury Park in Shakopee, March 10th, 11th, and 12th. This year's Classic features top hunting celebrities like bone collectors Nick Munn, Lee and Tiffany Lukoski of the Crush TV, and Melissa Bachman from Winchester's Deadly Passion TV. Get your antlers scored, view more than 300 antler entries, and see the latest hunting products, plus a great lineup of lodges and outfitters. For complete details on the 2023 Deer and Turkey Classic, visit mndeerclassic.com. Kodiak, a North American waterfowl film, is coming to the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel.
I've been a sea duck hunter for about 30 seconds, and I've already got one that's probably going to go on the wall, so this is the coolest duck hunt I've ever been on.
Presented by Boss Shot Shells, with support from Sitka and Beretta, and additional support from Eau Claire Outdoors, High Prairie Animal Arts, and the Association of Great Lakes Outdoor Riders. Watch Kodiak on the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel.
All right, this is Sporting Journal Radio. I'm Bret Amundson. Thank you for tuning in on the network, by demand, sportingjournalradio.com, or by watching this on YouTube. Thank you very much. We're excited. This show's been going on for, our 11th year now, and we're going to celebrate another year's worth of shows at the Rainy River with the SJR 500. It's our second annual fishing tournament up on the Rainy River. All the details can be found at sportingjournalradio.com. And Dan and David, I learned a little something about holding a fishing. This is the first fishing tournament I've held here in the state of Minnesota, and you have to get a permit for it. If it's depending on what size the tournament is and what you're going to do and this and that, and it's pretty slick through the Fish Donkey app. It's all catch and release. They make it real easy, but you still need, depending on how you're holding the tournament, you still need to get a permit through the DNR, and they've got some different restrictions. If it's 50 or fewer boats, it's a $70 permit fee. For larger contests, more than 50 boats, it's a $225 fee. And for ice fishing contests, it's a $135 fee. And then there's some other restrictions and some other fees and rates, and you can find all that on the DNR website. So that got me thinking about how other states handle their tournament permit process. And then I got a couple of messages about what's going on in North Dakota, and there's a bill in the legislature right now. And to find out how it's been handled in the past, what potentially the future could look like, we're going to talk right now to Greg Power. He's the Fisheries Division Chief for the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. Greg, how you doing today?
Hey, Brett, doing okay.
Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it. You're probably busy over there right now, but I wanted to get just kind of a clarification on what's going on in North Dakota. What has it been like for somebody that's wanted to hold a tournament in North Dakota? What were the rules?
Yeah, well, North Dakota is maybe the exception to the rule throughout most of the country. For 40 years, our rules have been in place actually since 1983, 1984 time period, that any tournament in the state that needs to be permitted, which is most events, one of the requirements is a conservation fee. So 10% of the entry fees, whatever it is, whatever that total is, 10% of the entry fees needs to go back. Well, actually, it comes to the department, then 100% of that money goes back to the local entity that's managing all the boat. Most tournaments are off boat ramps. It needs to go right back to that boat ramp. area for a boat dock, boat ramp, fish cleaning station, any maintenance, any youth fishing event, anything like that can work. So that's been in place, like I said, for 40 years. It's worked really well. We've permitted well over 3,000 tournaments with virtually no issues, except for out-of-state tournaments, especially some of the big dollar tick tournaments that want to come to North Dakota and say they can't because they can't afford it. They can't afford to pay the 10%. So because of that, some individuals have introduced legislation to the North Dakota legislature, and it actually passed the House already. So it's on the Senate side to get rid of that conservation fee and replace it with a simple application fee like you're talking is the case for Minnesota.
Okay, so that basically this would make those bigger tournaments a little bit more attractive. They'd be more interested in coming to North Dakota to hold these tournaments then.
That's exactly what they're saying, yes.
So with that, if it's just because I mean, honestly, that conservation fee, you know, Dan and I were kind of talking about it before we got on the show here. That's kind of a great idea. I mean, what a great way to raise money for the resource and the facilities there that allow you to enjoy that resource. But I can see if you got a big dollar tournament, you know, and you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars, I could see how that would be tough for a bigger tournament.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's been brought up. The only thing I can share is the history, as it's been virtually a non-issue. It's been the idea has been, again, it's been in place for 40 years, and we did a survey in 2021 of both tournament anglers, non-tournament anglers, and even the sponsors. And in all cases, there's support, to very, very strong support for the conservation fee. So, yeah, I mean, they've liked it because it is a reinvestment right back into that, you know, in the perfect world, we get that money right back into that area where the boat ramp was. And it's also, you know, kind of from our perspective in the big picture, there's always issues often are issues between tournaments and non-tournament anglers. Mm-hmm. It can be quite contentious at times. And I really, you know, in our careers, for us here in the department, we've really noted a shift of more acceptance of fishing tournaments, where I think most North Dakota anglers like tournaments, don't have an issue with them. And we believe a big part of that is that conservation fee. So the department's been on record supporting the continuance of it. And, you know, again, and a lot of people think it's just a money grab or something. We don't get a penny. We get nothing to administer it. It is just 100% pass-through monies.
So if it changes then to just this permit application fee, which could mean a lot less revenue for some of these local areas where these lakes and rivers are, what will that permit fee then go as a conservation fee, or will that money get split up or go somewhere else?
That's a good question. And the way it's structured right now, that's a big unknown. I mean, personally, right now it's maxed out at $2,500 would be the absolute maximum we could charge on an application fee. But I guess my perspective is we'd have to go through the administrative rule process again, regardless. The vast majority of the tournaments would be paying far, far less than that. So, I mean, it'd be $50, you know, maybe up to a couple $100 at most, probably for most tournaments. So the money generated from that is, you know, I hate saying this, but it's not going to add up to much at all. So it'd be very difficult to it'd be a money loser for sure for us to try to recirculate that money right back, you know, for $50 tournament. Our cost would be far more than what it'd be worth doing. So I guess that's an issue that's up in the area where will that money go and how would it be used? But it's not going to be much.
So realistically, the local areas that would be hosting these tournaments are going to lose out on a lot of money to help maintain boat ramps, etc. And potentially you might bring in some of these bigger tournaments, but other than maybe some local dollars going into the local economies, there isn't much benefit for that then. Is that kind of what I'm getting?
That's a very good way of looking at it, Brett. And that's one of our. I mean, yeah, it's going to help all, obviously, and we're all for that. Of course, commerce, and tourism. We're totally supportive of that. The money helping out the Devil's Lakes of the world, But yes, the local entity, it's usually a partner managing, let's say, a county park board or a county water board, something like that are partners out there that are maintaining the infrastructure around boat ramps. And there'll be less money going to them for sure. Now, saying that, I also got to say, in its entirety, we're not talking millions of dollars here either. We're talking, most years it's probably somewhere in that neighborhood of $100,000 statewide. So it's not an extreme amount of money by any stretch.
So is there some sort of way to work a compromise in there where if you want to be, if you want to be attractive to these tournaments to bring money into the state, but not have them break the bank to get a tournament fee, say the $2,500 fee for them, but also allow, some of these monies from the money from these permits to go back into that conservation? How do we get that worked into the bill?
Right. That's another good question. And to be fair there too, since 2020, we had an administrative rule change in 2020, and that's kind of what's precipitated this issue today. And the department, as well as others, the CVBs and our tourism and others, we've been working on trying to find that compromise. What could work that would make everybody happy? And I don't know if that's possible. To make everybody happy, there's an element of people out there that are going to despise a fishing tournament and going to blame everything that goes wrong with a fishery on a tournament. And you're going to have that, and you're going to have others that think that it's a God-given right to have a tournament where they want to and when they want to. So it's, we're trying to work to the middle, if at all possible.
Well, as we know, especially in this day and age, it's impossible to make everybody happy, of course, especially when you're talking about politics and the government and things like that. So we won't go down that road necessarily. And to be fair, I'm very new to this topic. I don't know a lot of the history, a lot of the background on it. So I'm just looking at this. It's almost a first look at this issue right now, and just my first reactions and what, why is it this way? Why do people want it that way? There's probably some information I'm not privy to about it, but boy, I'll tell you what, in 40 years, if this has been going on, a conservation fee essentially, so that was it, right? So if somebody wanted to hold a tournament, they just had to give 10% of the tournament fees as a conservation fee, and that was the only thing they had to pay.
Right. There's no app. That was it, and it was capped for. Of those 40 years, there's a 20-year period that the maximum was capped off at $5,000. So you wouldn't have to pay more than $5,000 for all especially these out-of-state tournaments again.
Okay,
that exception was removed a couple years ago, and again, I think that's what's all the talk about today.
That would make sense then, because all of a sudden it went from a $5,000 cap to potentially, tens of thousands of
$20,000, $30,000.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Any idea why that changed?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I was probably a big part of it because of public input. I mean, there was an exception there, and it was, people don't like hearing this, but we heard from a lot of we had a lot of phone calls over a number of years about why was that fair? Why does a smaller tournament have to pay 10%, but the big boys who should have deeper pockets, why do they only have to pay $5,000? And in some cases, they may be paying 2-3%, 5%, not the full 10%. And that's a fair question. And that's the reason, in the end, that was the reason why. Treat all tournaments the same, no exceptions.
Well, and I guess that is a fair question, but at the same time, I think there is some commerce aspect to some of those big tournaments. I don't know the numbers, but I'd assume bringing in some big names and some big fishing tournaments where people are going to be staying in some of these smaller communities for a number of days versus say a weekend tournament with a bunch of local anglers. I could see how there could be some economic benefit as well as some conservation benefit with some of those tournament fees being in there too. But so it's passed the House and it's in the Senate right now.
Correct. Yeah, it'll have its hearing here in the next couple of weeks. and see where it goes, I guess.
Okay. And then if this passes, when would it take effect?
That's a good question too. Typically in North Dakota, they take effect August 1st. We've already permitted a lot of tournaments, well, probably most tournaments for the 2023 open water season for sure. So I'm not sure if it'd take August 1st, or we'd have to, again, I believe we'd have to do some administrative rules. They may not take effect until January of next year, but within the next 6 or so months, I guess.
All right. Is there anybody out there that has an opinion on this? Is there anything? I suppose it's beyond the public input time at this point.
Oh no. I mean, I don't think so on either side. I mean, that's the whole idea. That's what makes America great, right? Of the legislative process, and people definitely have opportunity to input. And the hearing on the North Dakota legislative site, you can go online, and it's being used heavily. You could provide your own written email in your comments. You can show up and testify if time allows. But there is plenty of opportunity on either side of the matter to provide your input, your thoughts.
Okay. Well, let's just kind of break this down for just a little bit, Greg, if we can. When we're talking about money going back into conservation, say boat ramp maintenance, if this money ends up just becoming a permit fee and not a conservation fee, and say it goes to the legislature, goes to maybe the Game and Fish, and they get to decide what to do with it. I mean, what are the odds? So I was reading, let's back up just a second more. I was reading Doug Lear's article that he did with you, and he said that you started working, I'm sure you were happy that he put this in there, that you started working for Game and Fish when Jimmy Carter was president.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Needless to say, though, what he's trying to let everybody know is that you've been around for a long time. You've been around the department for a long time, and been a part of the fisheries in North Dakota, maybe longer than anybody else. And you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. You know what's happening. And I was reading that the first concrete boat ramp was in 1986 that the department funded, and now there's nearly 400 of them across the state. If this conservation fee, I don't know how much of this fee actually helps maintain those boat ramps, but obviously goes towards it. But what impact on the public accesses would taking away this conservation fee have? Not
a lot. I mean, to be totally transparent, we've never said it was. Again, it generates statewide maybe $100,000. We spend way more than that on boat development annually. It's the big picture, Game and Fish picture, it is not a money maker by any stretch, but it does help out some of these local entities with their maintenance and stuff of that nature. So again, I mean, this is just a real wag more than anything. But if it's $100,000 in conservation fees right now, the application fee is probably going to be closer to $20,000. Again, that's just not much at all. It costs internally in the department, it costs probably $40,000 a year just in our staff time administering tournaments. So application fee doesn't even come close to recovering our cost, let alone doing something conservation-minded. But, public shouldn't worry that we're not going to have boat ramps or boat docks or maintain our, get our fish cleaning stations pumped out or anything like that. That's gonna continue regardless.
So realistically, there isn't going to be any major impacts from this change other than the potential of having some bigger tournaments come in, which obviously some local anglers don't always like the bigger tournaments. You can see some negative public opinion on that right there, but you're not going to see a major impact on any sort of conservation efforts across the state.
No, other than, again, a few local entities that really like the money that they've had, because they're on popular fisheries, a little bit Devil's Lake, but in particular Lake Secaucus. There's a number of concessionaires and cooperators out there, and some of the counties actually there's a lot of tournaments that come off their boat ramps in those counties, and it generates a fair amount of money for them to at least keep up with grinders for the in the fish cleaning stations. A lot of this very boring things that add up. The O&M on the fish cleaning station are pump out and toilets it does add up. It's expensive,
So
especially for the local entity.
would there be any sort of funding available for those entities to replace this, or would they have to find it on their own?
I'd suppose that's something that remains to be seen. I mean, it's something that we certainly would want to help them all out. We're all in the same boat here.
Sure. All right. Well, interesting topic. I appreciate your insight on that. And before we let you go, I just, I kind of want to ask you, what's the state of the fisheries in North Dakota right now?
It's funny you say that because I just finished up in North Dakota. We have a monthly magazine, North Dakota Outdoors, and every 4 to 5 years I do what I call as a report card, North Dakota Fishing Report Card, and it overall got an A-. We're in really good shape, and we try not to give any grade inflation here either. It's a serious A-. It's pretty darn good shape. We call the big three: Sakakawea, Devil's Lake, and the Missouri River Lake Oahe. That garners a lot of the interest, and 2 of those 3 are in great shape: Devil's Lake and Sac. Oahe, we have issues. We almost, believe it or not, have too many walleye. They're not growing. We have a forage issue there. And then we're getting through this winter. This is going to be a very tough winter where our numbers we got a lot of concerns. We have a record. The good news is we have a record number of fishing lakes, never more in North Dakota. The bad news is we're going to lose a fair number of them this winter, I'm afraid, due to winter kill and this prolonged snowpack on our lakes. But in the big picture, we probably have pushing 80 new walleye fisheries out in the prairie that are incredibly productive, and the locals really like them. When it comes to sharing, that's a different story sometimes, but it's been good.
Yeah, can I get the GPS coordinates for all those? By the way, so are those fisheries that you guys are stocking then?
They are. Yeah, they're truly a 6-foot duck, a wetland that are now 20 feet deep, in some cases 30 feet or deeper, that are highly, highly productive with fathead minerals and all the invertebrates. And but the walleye natural reproduction is missing. So we do have to stock them annually for the most part. All
right. Well, you can just email me those coordinates on those places. That would be great.
I'm on it.
No, that's great. I lived in North Dakota for a number of years. I miss the hunting and fishing opportunities that are over there. I really enjoyed my time in that state, and sounds like things are great. We probably should make a trip. Maybe we'll plan a trip.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe chase some snow geese and maybe do a little bit of
spring cast and blast.
Yeah, I like it. Very good. Well, Greg Power, I appreciate the time today, and thanks for the update on what's going on with tournament permit fees and regulations in North Dakota. Thanks for being on the show.
You bet. All right. Have a good day.
Ice fishing season is here. This winter, plan a trip to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Not only will you have the chance to catch their legendary perch, but this year, Haybale Heights has been catching big walleye after big walleye. And they're doing it from a mobile, comfortable snow bear. No matter how cold it is outside, you're warm and toasty on the inside. Learn more and book a trip today at haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. 852 million acres of public land, 147 million private properties, all in the palm of your hand. The #1 hunting GPS app just got better. With hundreds of custom map layers, 3D and topographic maps you can easily scout on the road or at home before you go. And now you can get important weather details, CWD detection, and even know what crops have been planted where. Get the most trusted hunting GPS app ever made. OnX. Know where you stand with OnX.
Come ice fish the famous waters of Minnesota's Lake of the Woods, the walleye capital of the world. Experience full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper house options. From the Northwest Angle to the South Shore, Rainy River, and Baudette, the Midwest's #1 ice fishing destination. Walleye, sauger, perch, and northern pike. Minnesota's Lake of the Woods, best fishing anywhere. For more information, log on to lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
All right, this weekend we're going to be on location. We're in the Twin Cities in Shakopee, actually, at Canterbury Park for the annual Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic. And to tell us more about what's going on there this weekend, we got Eric Meyer joining us on the show. Eric, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
It's that time of year again, show season, and I know this is a huge one for you, and you've been busy getting ready for it. How's it looking this year? How are you feeling?
It's looking great. We're sold out, and a lot of nice bucks coming in to be on display and scored. I have quite a lineup of great seminar speakers. Lee and Tiffany are coming back. Nick Munt will be there, and always we have Melissa Bachman. So our lineup on the celebrity appearances are great. Just a couple days away. We have some really great exhibitors coming this year. One example is a new company that it's called Burr Paw, and it takes the burrs right off your clothing. It's like a mitt. We have some Vikings legends coming. Bud Grant. Tommy
Get out of here.
Yeah, Bud's coming on Saturday from 11 to 3, along with Tommy Kramer and Henry Thomas. And they're going to be meeting and greeting, and they're bringing in a whole bunch of stuff to sell. Bud's bringing in some old hunting gear that he's going to autograph and sell, and that should be an awesome time. But we got to,
cool.
Yeah. He's 95, so never met Bud before. He's still sharp as a tack.
That's amazing. Well, yeah. I'll tell you what. I mean, obviously he lived kind of a stressful life in the NFL there, but the guy spends a lot of time hunting and fishing. And people ask me all the time, what's a secret to a long life? And it's getting out in the outdoors and enjoying being away from it all. That's probably how he balanced, being a hard-nosed NFL head coach and dealing with all those big, tough athletes is, after the NFL season, you'd probably go out and do some ice fishing or go out and do some hunting or something like that. And great way to relax.
He doesn't get to do as much anymore at 95, but he still likes meeting people and getting out there. So, if you want to meet him, Saturday's the day.
So what time on Saturday, and where's he going to be at the show?
Okay, so it's 11 to 3, and they'll be on the second level, mezzanine, which is he's going to be near the trophy wall where all the bucks are displayed. And he'll be there with the other two players, and he'll be there for the 4 hours. I got a feeling they'll probably stay longer, but we got them locked in for those 4.
Well, that's kind of a cool reason to be there on Saturday, but from 10 to noon, you can meet us at the Deer Classic as well, too, which is obviously way cooler than Bud Grant.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right in the entryway. So,
yeah,
you could swing in and meet you guys.
That's right.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, you can meet me there from 10 to 11, and then from 11 to noon, I'll probably be up with Bud Grant. I'm just warning everybody. So stop out and find me. I'll probably be trying to meet Bud Grant with you. I'll probably be in line with you. So it's great, and obviously it's at Canterbury Park in Shakopee. It's been there now for a couple of years, and the show has kind of bounced around a little bit, obviously. But man, what a great location at Canterbury, because it's easy to get to and a ton of parking right there. And then obviously a big enough facility to handle all the booths and exhibitors that you're going to have there.
Yeah, we're up to 170 exhibitors, and I've really focused on the hunting industry and keeping quality exhibitors and unique products and great outfitters. That's been my goal. And as far as the facility goes, it's 3 different areas. There's a second level, and the parking is all free, and it's a massive parking lot right off of 169, easy to get to from anywhere. And it's got a lot of amenities. They have a card club in the facility too, so after you do the show, if you want to play some cards, that's an option.
You don't hear about that at many shows, I guess, unless you're at SHOT Show in Vegas or something like that. You want to do some gambling, but having that opportunity there at Canterbury Park is pretty neat. You got some stuff for the families and kids too, right?
We do. The kids zone is just jam-packed with activities. We have A1 Archery puts on the youth archery range, and it gives them a chance to go through the motions with a professional instructor involved. We have the falconers coming in, live hawks and falcons. It looks like Frank Taylor is going to be there. He's the main man for that outfit. And then we have a trout pond. Fishing for Life is putting on a trout pond. And we also have a rubber band shoot. And then upstairs, the NWTF has a booth up there, and they have a BB gun shoot with enclosed, like a bounce house type of deal. It's enclosed in there, and the first 30 kids each day to their booth get that slate call, and that's cool. kind of a nice feature that they've done for a few years now. So we're real kid oriented, and want to keep them entertained and introduce them to our sport. They also on Sunday we have Family Day, which an adult admission, if you bring a child 15 or younger, is $8. All kids 15 and under are free on Sunday. Friday and Saturday, it's $5 for age 10 to 15, and 9 and under are free. But Sunday, we're pushing for the families. That's usually a lot of them that come in are families on Sunday. So, yeah, a lot of great things to do.
Well, what a great idea for somebody listening out there right now that has, maybe it's a single parent or a family that didn't have a tradition of hunting and fishing, but maybe they've got a kid, a boy or a girl, that is saying, man, I would love to go hunt someday. And there's a parent going, gosh, I wish I knew what to do. I wish I knew where to take my child to learn more about this, or to introduce them to somebody that knows more about this. You can bring them to the Deer and Turkey Classic, and they could get introduced to a number of different outdoor activities while they're there.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys are mentors, so they're already filling that role. And you might find somebody that puts on a class or takes kids out and gives them that, introduces them to some of those sports as well. So yeah, it's a great family atmosphere. Yeah, we're pretty serious about the bucks. And
that's the other thing, Eric, I wanted to mention. I mean, if for no other reason, like David, have you been to this before?
I have once, yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, for no other reason, it's so cool just to go there. If you like looking at big deer and big racks and going, I would have let that one walk.
Yeah.
Which you're not going to say.
Give him another year.
You're not going to say that about any of these deer. But there are a couple of deer that will stop you in your tracks when you're there looking at some of these mounts and some of these antlers, and just not just big typical racks, but big non-typical racks, but just a lot of really unique ones. Just some ones with just some messed up antlers and just a gnarled tangle of bone on top of their head. It's just a really unique opportunity to see some of the best deer you will ever get that close to. And if you got a rack that you want scored, you can bring it up there and get it scored, right, Eric?
Yeah, we have 25 measures at the facility doing the scoring, and we have a deal drawing. If you bring your buck in for all 3 days, or if you come in Saturday and leave it till Sunday at 1, we have this drawing at 1 for a whole bunch of prizes. The top prize being a $1,500 gearhead bow, and then if you place in the top 3 positions during that drawing time, we also have our award ceremony, and we award the top 3 places ribbons, and the first prize winner gets that Viking muddy tree stand. You have to be present for all that stuff, but it gives you a great incentive to bring the rack in. And we have security 24 hours. I have a security guard that sits with the wall of antlers, and Canterbury has got cameras everywhere, and they have the head security guy said they had 8 guys on duty all weekend, so they're cruising, and everything is locked up tight, and because that's critical. But in all these bucks, my other job is working for Outdoor News, and I've been the photo manager for 34 years. So all these deer that come into the paper, I recruit them, to the big ones, to come to the show and pretty much everybody that sends me a deer picture got a free pass to the show. So I really get a great lineup. Last year we had 350 antler entries, and it's a lot. So the 64-foot wall, 2-sided, double road, solid antlers. So, and if there's oddballs out there, I'm going after them, because those like you said, those unique ones are pretty interesting to see.
Oh yeah, I saw a couple racks there last year when I was there that I couldn't believe it was real. Like, it defied physics. It seems somehow, some of these. It was pretty wild. And you can see a preview of some of those on the website, mndeerclassic.com. And if you're listening to this on the podcast on Friday, or if you're watching this on YouTube when we release it on Friday night is ladies' night from 4 to 9 p.m. That's March 10th. And then Saturday, we'll be out there from 10 to noon, of course. Bud Grant will be out there 11 to 3 along with Henry Thomas and Tommy Kramer. The show goes 1 to 9 Friday, 9 to 7 Saturday, and Sunday 10 to 5. mndeerclassic.com is the website. Any other highlights, Eric, that you want our audience to know about?
Well, on that ladies' night, the first 50 gals through the door get a prize package from Wildlife Research Center. So that's another incentive for the ladies to come down on Friday night. We have some other radio personalities coming in, Neil Freeman from Bob, and Josh from the morning show on 93X. We have trail cam contests. All the winners will be on display, and just jam-packed with fun things going on. And
how come we're not doing our appearance on ladies' night? Or meet and greet on ladies' night?
I mean, we could probably do both if we wanted to. We could probably go there Friday too, Dan. But I like that. Next year, Eric, we'll go to Friday.
Yeah, you can hand out the free prize.
Sure. There you go. I like it. Looks like Lee and Tiffany are going to be there Friday. They're there all day on Friday.
Yep. Yeah, Lee and Tiffany are coming on Friday, and so that will be great. Melissa Bachman's there all 3 days, and Nick Munt's there 4 to 7 on Friday and all day on Saturday. So the Bone Collector. Yep.
Very
awesome lineup.
Very cool. This is a fun show. I like being there. I like going to it. There's always something cool to see. And obviously being in a building surrounded by like-minded individuals is always a good time. You can sit and talk about the turkey season. We're not far away. I know you're fired. I know both of you guys in this room are fired up about turkeys. Excited about it. We've been editing turkey footage too. So Dan's been editing the turkey hunt we filmed with you, David.
Yep.
And so I know we're for Prairie Sportsman. I know we were excited about that, and of course you can never get tired talking about whitetails. So it's a Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic, March 10th, 11th, 12th, Canterbury Park in Shakopee. Eric Meyer, thanks for the time today, and good luck with the show this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see you all down there.
It's ice fishing season and time to plan your trip to Riverbend Resort on Lake of the Woods. Stay at the Lakeside Resort along the Rainy River in one of their new cabins and enjoy delicious meals and hot or cold beverages in the Miles Lab Bar and Grill. Or stay in one of their comfortable sleeper houses on the ice, complete with a TV, stove, and lots of walleyes right beneath your feet. You also have the option of staying at their motel, the Walleye Inn, located in Baudette. Book your ice fishing trip to famous Lake of the Woods today at riverbendresort.com. That's riverbendresort.com. Live Target, the leader in Match the Hatch, is back with new lures that also match the action. Introducing the Live Craw. The Live Craw is irresistible to bass, walleye, and other freshwater species. FTech's winner, the Ultimate Frog, looks and acts just like a swimming frog. With an exposed Ultra Point mustad hook and replaceable legs, the Ultimate Frog has 2 styles, 2 sizes, and 8 colors. And iCast and FTech's winner, the Live Shrimp, mimics a fleeing shrimp for saltwater anglers. Coming soon from Live Target.
Looking for winter adventure? Might as well pick a place with over 1,000 lakes. Ottertail County, Minnesota is in the middle of everywhere, offers a simpler pace, and has something for everyone. Find your inner otter at ottertaillakescountry.com.
All right, this is Sporting Journal Radio. I'm Bret Amundson, along with Dan Amundson and David Eckhardt. And Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism joins us right now. Joe, how's it going?
Oh, hey, Brad, things are good. I'll tell you what, man, it's a good week of ice fishing.
And ice fishing obviously still going on, and it's the extended season right now up at Lake of the Woods. Are people catching fish?
That's the thing. I mean, I heard some of the best reports this last week than we've had in a few weeks. I kind of mentioned that, in February, fish are spread out, low oxygen. The road, one of the ice roads out is 24 miles long, and those fish are spread out, and you got to find them, and then you got to fish every fish. So, the fish are there, but they're a little lethargic, and I heard some really good reports. Now, does everybody whack and stack them? No. Most are finding enough fish for fish fry night, which is already pretty good fishing. But there's some that were catching 40, 50 fish out of the fish house. And I don't want to say that's the norm, but I'll tell you what, those are some of the better reports we've heard in a long time. A lot of suspended fish. So watching your electronics, some of the bigger fish are coming, and halfway up in the water column. I saw one post or report that somebody got a real big 29-incher, and that was 7 feet below the ice. But when you see suspended fish in your electronics, you want to get up to them quick because normally they're swimming through. You want to get up to them quick, but what you want to do is when you get about 2 feet below them, slow down your retrieve so you don't spook them, and get it up in front of them or just above them, and then shake it. And if they're active, a lot of times they'll dial right in on it.
I've been hearing more and more stories about people catching big walleyes like that, suspended or not too far under the ice when you're in deeper water like that. You think that's always been a thing, or do you think that's maybe in a year where there's more snow or less oxygen, or do you think they're just up there roaming around feeding that up that high?
I think they're up there. Yeah, I think they're high in the water column looking for toolbies and stuff. I really do. And the other interesting thing too is. There is one guy told me, he said, Joe, the fish are down there. We can see them on our electronics, but there's also schools and schools of shiners. He said every walleye I open up has a whole bunch of shiners in it. So he believes that the fish have always been there. It's just that, they have a buffet in front of them every single day. They can pick and choose when they want to eat, how often they want to eat, et cetera. So, it's interesting. And, normally what happens if there's any talk about fishing or maybe tough fishing, oftentimes it's in the month of February. Once we get the open water, people are like, holy smokes, where were these walleyes come ice fishing,
And when do we always go, Dan?
Go where?
Like what are we talking about right now?
The Devil's Lake in October hunting.
Wow.
Are we talking an ice fishing trip? Are we talking Rainy River? Are we talking open water?
Have you been listening to the show? We're always up there in the winter in February, Joe. That seems to be our problem.
I mean, not always. I've gone up twice in my life. So that's where I was confused by your question there, Brett.
Well,
I think Dan has those earbuds. He's got music in one ear. Maybe it's a show on another. Danny, switch it over to the show this time, just for a couple minutes.
Wow. I'm just trying to understand the context of the question. Well, that is all.
Let's talk about March a little bit because obviously new fishing licenses now for the state of Minnesota, and then some different rules regarding 4 Mile Bay, Rainy River, Lake of the Woods up there, Joe. It's now all catch and release from March 1st to April 15th on 4 Mile Bay and the Rainy River?
Yeah, and it's important to be specific on that because on our lake, the normal limit applies. It's a combined limit of 6 fish, 6 walleyes and saugers. Up to 4 can be walleyes. Slot limit 19.5 to 28 inches. You got to let go. Keep 1 over 20. That still pertains on the big lake. Now, when you get in 4 Mile Bay, which is at the mouth of the Rainy River and on the Rainy River right now, from March 1 through April 14th when the season ends, it is a catch and release season only. And that's because some of those fish are starting to slide up there and prepare for that spawn.
I'm excited about the river opening up. Of course, we've got our fishing tournament, the SJR 500, the second annual SJR 500. It's going to be coming up April 11th and 12th on the Rainy River. We decided to move it just a little bit later this year, Joe, because last year when it was a week earlier, we were dealing with a lot of ice yet. We had a snowstorm. I could still see us. The way winter's going, I could still see us having a snowstorm during this tournament. But hopefully the weather's a little bit nicer, and we've got more landings open, and then it's kind of nice because it's right before the walleye season closes. Now, obviously, it's all catch and release anyway, which is fine. People go up there in the spring to try to catch a big one, but it's right before that season closes, and that's a pretty popular time up there, isn't it, Joe?
It is, and I'll tell you something. Why is spring fishing on the Rainy River popular? Number one, for many, it's the first time they splash their boat for the whole season. It's tradition. you know what, there are not a lot of areas in our neck of the woods that you can fish open water, you know, during this time. And what happens is you have a very large portion of these big walleyes that are out in the big water of Big Traverse Bay. Not everyone, but a lot of them, a good percentage of them, they'll slide into the Rainy River to spawn. Now you have all these big walleyes constricted into a river. They got the feed bag on, they're big. And the reason the DNR allows this kind of fishing is because they don't believe there's very much mortality at all. The water is ice cold. That's good for releasing fish. It's pretty much a shallow fishery where you're catching the fish. Most are using a jig or maybe even a crankbait, but they're not using live bait rigs where the walleyes are taking it down into the guts. You know, it's a situation where it just kind of works. And you know, if you recall, it wasn't that many years ago that they had a 2-fish limit on the Rainy River. And the 2 fish you kept had to be under 19.5 inches. You know, they got rid of that. And the reason they did is because when the DNR was doing electroshocking, they were noticing that the number of mature male walleyes on the Rainy River the numbers were starting to drop a little bit. And of course, even though people go up there to catch a bunch of fish, to catch big fish, you know, everybody was keeping their 2 fish under 19.5 each day. And a lot of times those are mature male walleyes. So they said, you know, let's just keep this a catch and release. That way, you know what, our males can, stay in high population, which will just add to our successful spawning on the river. And that's what it's been. And, you know, we really haven't heard hardly any hiccups from that.
Well, we caught a lot of fish this time of year there. We caught a lot of fish on the river during the tournament last year. We didn't get that. I think the big was, a 27?
I caught a 28.
You caught a 28?
Pre-fishing.
Which is a good one. Oh, yeah, it wasn't in the tournament. That's right. And I think Scott had a 27 or something like that.
26.5.
26, yeah. Which are great fish. I'm not trying to knock those fish at all. Obviously, you're looking for that 30 or a big fat one, something like that. And but we caught a pile of fish, and we're looking forward to that opportunity once again. And you know, if the walleyes aren't biting, you have the chance to catch maybe the biggest fish in the state, which is a sturgeon, which are they're easy to fish for and they're fun to catch. So our tournament is open to walleyes and sturgeon with top 3 lengths in both categories, getting some prizes. It's only $40 to enter. We'll do 50% payback. 25%, Joe, of course, going to go to Keep It Clean up there at Lake of the Woods. And it's all catch and release, and it's real simple. All you got to do is log into the Fish Donkey app. Download the Fish Donkey app on your phone, and you can sign up for the SJR 500. It'll be our Rainy River tournament, April 11th and 12th. We'll be based out of Riverbend Resort on the Rainy River there. It's going to be a good time. You can find out more information about it at sportingjournalradio.com. And Joe, if people want to learn more about a trip here during the extended ice fishing season up at Lake of the Woods, or maybe start thinking about spring or summer, what should they do to find out more info?
Let me ask you a question. Are you going to tell Danny how you caught all those walleyes last spring, and you keep it a secret?
It's a secret now.
That poor guy, he was following us around. I mean, I thought we had a tail on our boat for a while there. He's following us around.
He wasn't even running a boat.
He's still kind of bitter about it. You can kind of tell by his attitude. Danny, you gonna catch some fish this spring?
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will, and I won't tell you.
I was going to say, he's been talking a big game lately about this. After what happened last year.
So. It might be a take a kid fishing weekend.
Hey, listen, I see this.
You're fishing in my boat?
I see a tear coming down his cheek. Let me just say, Danny caught a lot of fish last spring. He did just fine, and he's a hell of a good angler, and he always holds his own. We just tease him a little bit. He's like our little buddy.
Little buddy. Yeah, it is take a kid fishing weekend, I guess. Is it free fishing license weekend that week, too?
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a good time, and we'll see if your mom outfishes you again.
Hey, I hope she does.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one person I'll be happy to have outfish me. You guys, no chance.
Absolutely. She took
I remember we looked over at your dad, Bret, and it was pretty cool because, I mean, he was, talk about, how old is your dad?
He's 82. He'll be 83 in May.
He was out, we had snow on the Rainy River, and he could have gotten under the little, the bimini top on the boat he was in. Nope, he didn't get under that cover. What he did, he stayed out there. I think he might have had camouflage on, coveralls on a jacket. He was full of snow. He looked like a darn snowman. But he was out there just jigging away, you know, and talk about hardcore. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I think he loves it, but afterward when I asked him why he didn't move, it's because he said he was frozen and he couldn't.
Couldn't move.
So, you know, no, he had a great time. And they've got their lodging booked. They'll be back up there again this year, spending time with us in the tournament. So hopefully it's a little bit warmer for them this time around.
Well, and I'll say this too. If you're thinking about fishing the Rainy River this spring, and it's $40 for the tournament. It's not a hardcore tournament at all, but hanging out with some really, really good people. It's just kind of adds to the tradition. Have a little fun, having a couple of your favorite beverages, and it's a very, very nice time with a very good group of people. Plus, we're sharing, what we did fishing, how we caught them, what we tweaked to get those walleyes to start biting, things like that.
And we'll give away a bunch of door prizes at the bar afterward, bar and restaurant afterward each night. And it's just a fun tournament. Most of the money is either going back or getting donated to keeping it clean up there. So come on and join us April 11th and 12th with a pre-party non-mandatory rules meeting. April 10th at Riverbend Resort. We'll be recording the podcast live up there once again. It's a good time. It's a good party. You can find out more at sportingjournalradio.com. And if you want to find out more about Lake of the Woods, Joe, where should they go?
Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of Macaba LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.